Near the topic. So the topic was which we left over with this system of etymons in the light of Sri Aurobindo. There's something I wanted to maybe discuss with you because this thing is truly not deeply understood. Whenever we speak about this, it sounds very good, but when you try to explain it, you can't, because the capacity to explain this thing is very limited. So what we tend to do, we tend to connect the sound and meaning in the direct sense, saying that A means this, E means this, yeah. And then when we combine, we mean that. But this is a very primitive way and very untrue way of understanding the process of creating roots and words. It is more inbuilt in the capacity of articulating the sound in psychological way. It's a specific effort is made, or certain poise of consciousness and physical being is attempted when we articulate a particular sound. And that sense of it, or that feeling of it, or state of it in the physical being, in the physical sense, is what we know as general significance or meaning. Yeah? So if I articulate A is the most effortless sound. That means vibration of vocal cords. And Sri Aurobindo assigns to it the meaning of, let me see how he defines this. Somewhere here. Here it is, as existence. His definition would be a little more refined. I'm just simplifying here the 5 simple vowels. Existence which is not differentiated. Why? Because there is a vibration, and that vibration means that something is, something exists, yes, but without any modulation. Yeah. Hi, Siegfried. Nobody speaks back, so I'm going to continue this explanation. So A is just simple vibration. E is not a simple vibration anymore. It is a vibration which is modulated by tongue. The tongue is pushing R to the palate. And this pushing tongue to the palate generates totally different attempt or different poise or different effort within the physical being. And if you press with your tongue the sound to the palate, you would feel the tension. E. E is a very specific state of consciousness, of this physical consciousness. It corresponds to with the physical being. And that correspondence in this attempt to narrow down, to press to the top, to this kind of intention, yeah? So intending to pierce, to break through, to reach out, this thin, it becomes very thin and, and striking and flying like an arrow to the goal. So this narrowing down, and that means relative existence. So not anymore existence as such, but relative. That means this particular narrow selection is chosen out of the bigger number of options. Now you can get the sense of it. Yeah? So it is not just the sound, it is the attempt to articulate that particular meaning within the given apparatus. This apparatus is made in this way. That's why this attempt will be made in this particular way. It's limited. There is tongue, there is palate, there is vocal cords, there's nasal cave, there are lips, teeth. That's it. There are few things which are given, and within those things we have to articulate all possible significances through the attempt. And that attempt, that effort we make by articulating the sound is meaningful to us. And that meaning, strangely enough, corresponds with the sound we produce. Yeah? So the meaning is not coming from the sound. This is what I want to say. It comes from the attempt to articulate a particular meaning within the given apparatus. I'm just reversing everything. Yeah? Reversing, saying that if I want to articulate something narrow, intense, then I will, how can I do within this apparatus? Yeah? So I will be pressing with my tongue to the palate, to the hard palate, to the top of the vibration of the vocal cords, which is ah. So ah will be modulated into this E sound. I to the top. There is no higher than E. This is the top of the possibilities of articulation. But then, that is oo. If I take next sound oo, it's interrelated existence. So if I want to articulate fullness, it's like full mouth, yeah? I want to keep everything fully in, then there will be oo sound. There is no better way of articulating it. It would be not E sound anymore. That is not fullness. That is the intensity. And oo is fullness. There is spaciousness within it. Yeah? And because in my kind of consciousness, I have two lips, and these two lips close down or hold this ooh thing, duality is felt by me when I do this. And this duality, if E doesn't feel duality, it feels like oneness, one-pointedness, then ooh feels like duality. Because of two lips. And they are nearly touching, but not totally. So here we are. And then there are more modulations. Re is a constant existence. Why constant? Because it is against all possible changes in time. That means a resistance. Yes, something is pressing and we are resisting. Yeah? So it is opposing it, it is drilling against it, it is hitting within the limit, vibrating within a particular limit point, and holding onto it or breaking through it. Yeah? So it is kind of working out on the particular point. It hits it, hits it, hits it, hits it, comes in and out, in out, all the time. And this particular sense is understood by us, or sound, as something like, of course we can associate it with outer associations of nature, where there is drilling or crushing or breaking, all these sounds are there. Or even sawing, like yeah. But it is not the outcome of the association with the outer world. It is the inner effort. And in the inner effort, it is a resistance. It is something which is not allowing things to be to be their own way. So I will be standing against them, will be drilling against the wall, oppression. I will be resisting the oppression. So all these words with crushing, drilling, will have r sound in them. Quite interestingly. So crushing is breaking, but clashing, I'm coming to Lee, is more like softly doing it, not going through, not sharply breaking, but softly embracing, crashing and clashing. You can compare these two just to see the difference in the sound. Or leaking, liking, leaking also, gliding, sliding, loving even. So all these will have that l sounds, slades, or slides, sliding. We will have l everywhere where there is this more touching, more gliding sound rather than crushing and scratching sound. It's quite interesting that in Vedic Sanskrit, the l sound was very rare. There was more r sound. And all the words like rabhate became labhate, rikhati became likhati, likha. Likhati means scratching, actually. It's from rikhati, from here rekha as a scratch or the line in the Indian languages. But then it became likhati l. So r changed into l softly, slowly. We can see this in some languages that they also mix up these two. Like Japanese language, they don't distinguish between ri and li. So they will say you are light. That means you are right or something. It's sometimes very funny, very misleading. So here we are. So what I wanted to say, that misconception of the etymology is built on this wrong idea that sounds themselves have meanings. They don't. They are the product of our attempt to articulate a particular meaning. And if our apparatus would be different, suppose it won't be human, it would be, suppose, dolphins apparatus, where we don't have the same vocal cords, don't have the same tongue and teeth, and nasal cave, don't have nasal cave, so we can't have nozzles. Then we would articulate completely different sets of sounds, which would mean the same meanings. Because the effort is made in the same sense in the given apparatus to make an effort to narrow down or to include or to resist or to simply show that the being is there. So these are major articulations which are coming out from these attempts to articulate meanings. That's where I'm leading you to. So there is a meaning behind which wants to be articulated through the given apparatus. And that reveals itself in the sets of sounds which Indra, as it is known in the Indian tradition, formulates finally into the alphabet. Alphabet is a set of mentally clearly demarcated attempts to articulate meanings, what we call varnas, sounds. So they are demarcated in such a way that we recognize that A is different from E, and E is different from E, and E is different from O, and O from U, and so they are kind of fixed in their particular fluid articulation of sound, because it's quite fluid, from it's very fluid. I can move slowly, and all the shades of meaning will be there because I feel it in the body. But to stop that particular formation, in particular Varna, is the work of the mind, of Indra. Indra is the lord of the mind. And he fixes these formulations, these Varnas, these colors, particular vibration, in the mental way. So these mental articulations are becoming the alphabet, the first building blocks of the language. And then we use these building blocks in our mind. Now mind is participating, not the sound. It's by the mind we compose the blocks into the meaningful units.
Vladimir,
Yes.
I don't get that sound has no meaning. I mean,
well, it has meaning. It has meaning because we articulate it.
Yeah, but because there is only the sound of the water, it has a meaning. At least you know that there is water.
Right, we need to distinguish between the sound of the language and the sound which is coming from the nature. Because
you can say something with in many different way, a word in many different way, depending how you feel.
Right,
and it's changing the meaning, the emotional or what or other state are can change the meaning of what you are seeing.
Yeah, well, but when you hear the sounds from the nature, there are many words in language which are of that origin also, which are not coming from the origin of articulation. They are imitative sounds, like you know, clash, splash, bach, babach.
Yeah.
All these words, and there are many other. I call them knock-knock language. So. Knock-knock is imitation, the word which we created to imitate the outer sound, from which we heard, or the river, or the waterfalls, or many times we produce these sounds, imitative sounds, and some of them become words. But that is not this attempt to articulate a particular meaning within the given apparatus through sounds and these roots which we formulate by the mind. It is not the same thing. They are
kind of another level.
They exist in a parallel way. They interact all the time, and they are part of the same language which we use because we are in this given context. But they are different in the origin, as it were. Different in the sense that, not totally different. On the highest level, they are not absolutely different, but because the noise of the river or the waterfall has a different instruments to express that fall, not the same apparatus as we have. Our machinery, our physicality is different from the waterfall. So we cannot produce.
And also the music, by example, it can have a big meaning. I mean,
sure.
Yeah.
Instruments are very different. A violin has similar to vocal cords. Yes, it sings, but still it's a different set of instruments. Yeah. But you can also articulate through that music a particular attempt of meaning. Yeah, so you can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And the vocal cords of different animals are different apparatus. They speak different languages, birds, and still dogs barking and still we understand them to a certain extent. We understand that they are in pain, or they are afraid, or they are angry, or they are hungry. Somehow we can read their languages. It's interesting, no?
Yes.
Also, we have strange association with the apparatus. When the dogs are doing ooh, 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 and wiggling tail, you know that they are somehow it corresponds to closely, not totally, but nearly to our apparatus in a way. So we know in a way what they want. They find a way to communicate to us what they want. Or the cats. And of course, there are very simple things like attacking, growling, or the bear, when he attacks, he has to give the sound, the blast of sound, yes, a roar, for you to be scared. And once you're scared, he will attack. But if you are not, he will not attack. Yeah. So this is a communication which is taking place. Quite amazing. Even snakes, cobras, they will give you a sign that be careful. They communicate, but in their own way, in their own given apparatus. So this is what I wanted to say. That's why the sound is secondary. The articulation of the sound is primary. Not of the sound, articulation of the meaning is primary. Articulation of the sound is secondary, and the sound is consequent. So it's a consequence.
Vladimir, and then when we are talking about the word in capital letters, we are hidden in the intention before the articulation. When we say the origin is the word in capital letters, the origin of all is the word.
Yes, word in capital means that expression of consciousness. Yes. Because the word can be expressed in many different ways through many different apparatuses. So it's one way of communicating, formulating. But there are other ways. There is a body, is also an instrument of communication. I can speak with my body, with gestures. Or I can speak through other means, through other languages. Yes, we spoke about this. Through the language of mathematics, or art, or music, and so on. Dance. Through the language of silence, pauses, of the language of looks. I can look at you in such a way that you will understand. So this communication, this expression of the self, is the word. And it has many different forms.
And is when the consciousness takes form.
Yes, when consciousness is expressing itself. Yes, takes form. Or maybe not yet taking form, but expressing itself, intending to communicate something, or intending to bring some element into play.
In the intention, there is a form. In some
Form is the consequence, yes, but the form as a sound is a consequence, but the intention is the word, yes. So if you want something, that is the word, the will. That's why the word and will were connected, logos. Yeah? Logos is that will of consciousness. And the same in Indian tradition. Indian and Greek tradition are quite similar in that sense, logos. At the beginning was the will, Shakti, Chit Shakti. Okay, so here we kind of come to this roots which we already looked into before, but I want to go again through with this idea of R being undifferentiated in existence, E being modulated, narrowed down, one-pointedness, focus, diminishing, intensifying, U being dualizing and including the space, Re is more resisting, withstanding, drilling, working within the limit.
And the 5? Sorry, you changed the slide. Can you move the slide before?
Yeah, Li I don't include here.
What's the 5? 5 is an L or is an L?
L, Li, similar to Ri, with additional features of smoothness. So if Ri is a constant existence, but kind of resisting the change, kind of rising, but here Li is more like, yeah, we spoke about this just now. So you're like crashing and clashing, yes. Yeah, and there are more examples. I have to write them down because they don't come always to the mind.
The L is facilitating the change.
Say it again.
L is facilitating the change.
Facilitating the change. It's more like, yeah, like glowing, growing and glowing. It's more like flowing. Yeah, flowing like a river, like leaking, gliding, sliding.
Because the facilitating the change is not in these 4 vowels. I think we need this transformation.
Yes, actually there are 5 of these major, and Panini is in his treatise says that Ri and Li are very closely related, interestingly, and he even doesn't distinguish between them, most probably because of Vedic Sanskrit, which is reflected in Japanese, that they don't really distinguish between Ri and Li sound. R and L, for them the same sound. R is cerebral and L is dental cerebral. They are very closely in the positioning of the tongue. But R is more vibrating and L is more touching only, not vibrating anymore. So in that sense, it is less sharp, more gliding, more leaking, more like the tongue, liking, loving, all that.
Love.
It's from lub root. So we do not take this li sound, we take only a, I, u, ri and compare them, and ri would be having most probably the variation with li, which will be closely related, but will have that shade of softening the movement of ri. So da, to divide, to give, it's the first root. Then D, to be divided and given, it's already reversed movement, to be intensified. Do is to be in duality, to suffer, to burn. Dri is to make duality distinguished, to cut, to break into pieces. So basically you can see the same idea of da, of division, is through all the roots. Yeah? So D has that particular power of dualizing. From here, many words. Actually, there are families of words like even div, duty, divyati, deva, the god. Yeah, Diao, heaven. It's emitting light. Yeah? So all these are somehow, interestingly, can be used, this da, as separating part of oneself and given away. And also it is used in the sense of shining or emitting light. Yeah? There is rudi div, to shine, or there is da, to give and to cut. Panini beautifully describes why to give is to separate part of oneself. He speaks, most probably I was mentioning already, giving a slap. Why we give a slap, even in English. It's interesting. In Sanskrit and English, the same, to give a slap. Why not to slap simply, but to give? Because the energy, he says, that red spot which is left on this cheek when you give a slap is actually your energy which you give to the, so you separate part of yourself and give away. So this is always, giving is cutting part of yourself and giving away. If you give somebody else a portion of something, it's not giving. Yeah, if I manage to give somebody's wealth to somebody else, it's not giving. Giving is always from yourself. You have to suffer the cut and give it away. And that's why there is the whole philosophy of accepting gifts in different traditional societies. Yes, you should not accept the gift from the doubtful source, because you accept that energy, that part of the being, and you do not know what it will do to you after. Yeah? In the criminal world, it's very common to give you some money and then to hook you forever. Yeah? They give you money and then you will be forever theirs. So you will never be able to pay back, because there will be always something to pay back, more and more and more. So this is amazing thing. Yeah? The strings attached. There are so many stories about giving and taking the gift. So please don't take the gift from the doubtful source, because that will alternate your life. It will change your life. So you will be dependent on that source. Dependency is very, even in Indian tradition, when the teacher gives knowledge, it's quite interesting that dakshina is to be paid at the end of the teaching, because dakshina is that gift of the student to the teacher. Why dakshina is to be given? Explanation follows, very interesting, that you have to do it in order to be free from the dependence on the teacher. It's a freeing oneself. So teacher gave you a lot and you give back, and in that sense, the deal is done. Yeah? You are free to go. If you don't give back, if you don't give dakshina, then you will depend on that energy. And that means you are not free to live your life.
Dakshina. The word is dakshina.
Dakshina.
Dakshima. And last class, I asked you about tam, but it was enough time with the slides. We didn't arrive to the tam. Do you have tam? Can you explain about this kind of sound?
Tam.
Root? Tam.
Tam from here, tamas, yes, darkness. Yeah. It's very easy to explain these roots which are ending in nasals, like tam, tan. Yes, they are not, these nasals at the end, they do not change the major root. So like dam, for example, dam is to control, to bind, to dominate, let us say. They have something formational in themselves. M sound. It makes the form, shape. We will come to m.
Is the vibration is here, no?
Yes, but it has this, if you look into the roots, ma, there was somewhere. Here, ma, to measure, to create the form, shape. From here, ma, tree. Yeah, ma is like ma, the formation, form. This interesting something, the sense of it, like making, mother, Maya, all this, yeah. So to measure is the same etymology actually. To create the shape, to measure out of the immeasurable something, to shape the shape separate from the inseparable. And this is from here mother, matri, the creatrix, or the mother. The mother shapes the being, gives it shape, separate being. So it actually brings to birth, separates, shapes the being, gives it a form.
Meditation, no? Meditation is to measure as well. No?
Meditate, yes, meditate. So be in meditation, okay, kind of medial, being in between formation, yeah. So ma is there to measure, mi is to measure with diminishing, so measuring and making it smaller, pressing it down, so to say. And mu is to measure, but to bind and to mingle, to mix up, so to say, different points, holding two in one in this formation. And mari is to die. It's quite interesting. This to die, we can think of what it means with the ri sound. And if you take the same set of roots like bha, bhi, bhu, bari, you will see bha is to appear, to shine, bhi is to appear but to shrink, to diminish, bhu is to become, to occupy the space, and bari is to bear, the same etymology, bari, bear. So constantly appearing in spite of resistance. So here also measuring in spite of resistance. If you think of this, the death is that so kind of changing the form in spite of resistance. So this would be dying. Dying is the mysterious word, to die. We know it very well by experience, but we don't know in terms of linguistic formulation. How would you call death? Yeah, dying. Why death is death in English, I cannot tell you, but most probably it's something to do with da, separating the spirit from the form.
In Spanish, morir is to die. Morir.
Yeah.
Y muerto is someone is dead. A dead body is muerto.
Yeah.
Morir is to die. Morir.
Yeah, this is Marie, the same root, yes, Indo-European. It's Indo-European root. In Russian also, and Ukrainian смерть with S, смерть, умирать, мертвый, the dead one. So mar is to change the form, to change the shape. So if we take this mu in that sense and tam,
and ta.
I don't understand what you say.
The T is so explosive, no? Ta with the T. Ta, tam.
Right.
Like explosion, no? It's very powerful. Ta.
Well, ta is actually very steady, like the wall. It's like you come to the full stop. It's not explosive. Ta is explosive. Bha is explosive, but t is full stop. Yeah? It's not. You imagine that it is explosive, but it's not. Because ta is explosive. Pa, ba. You need the aspirated, but t is actually full. I will look into something. Wait a minute. I will show you the definitions by Sri Aurobindo, and it may help. Actually, he gives all the definitions, yeah, of the sounds, so we will go through them. Somewhere I had it. Let me find it. So many files. We looked into it long ago. How Sri Aurobindo defines these letters. Oh, maybe I didn't want to overload you with this. But it is in his, let me open it anyhow. So if you have any question, you please ask. I will find this file for you and we will look into it again. How Sri Aurobindo defines the whole alphabet. I have so much on etymology, so many files that when I need it, I can't find it. Anyhow, let me find it in his writings. It would be easier on the phonetics. He has a huge new volume which is called Philological Studies. Let me project it for you, and there we will find it. This is the volume, and he analyzes all the roots. But here he gives the list of the sounds, which is quite amazing. Of these, and there he will define ta, da, every letter as such.
That's incredible. Huh?
Yes, this volume is amazing. It's a new volume. It's taken from the archives. Here he describes all that what we were discussing. But let me make it smaller because I have to run through somewhere here. It is the word formation, the alphabet, somewhere at the beginning of this section. There are many writings here, essays, origins of Aryan speech. Origins of Aryan speech is a very difficult writing because he takes really deep into the languages and nobody can actually fathom that. Everybody stops it after 2 pages, cannot go on. It's too much to read. But if you manage, you will get to the idea what he wants to say. He says that actually you can express through any root any meaning. You can arrive at any contextual meaning through any of the roots. This is something of the of the mind we have to acquire. We don't have this mind. It's a higher mind to be able to see the production of any root, any meaning from any root. Let me see in the content. Sorry for this mess. But since you started with the stum and you want it, we will find it. Families, root sounds, the root sounds 6 of 3, 6 of 1. Is it here? Yeah, here it is. So this is the alphabet. And here you can see the definition, the first definition, the most general definition of the sounds. So touch, impact, lighter than cha. So cha is also touch and impact, but it is very light. But ta is touch. And yeah, so it is in this sense he defines it.
You can read the letter in Sanskrit. This ta.
Yes.
Why is an S in the other side? S.
I don't know why. But it is touch and impact, lighter than cha. So most probably when you come to the full stops, yeah, this is touch. When you come to the touch, it's t, because t is dental sound. The tongue is touching the teeth, and the touch is actually generated the sound and the meaning of it.
Yeah, it's not explosion, it's a touch. Yeah.
So if you take tam root, why tam is tamas, tam yati means to become exhausted, to become sad, to become dark. Why darkness is the contextual meaning of it is this because this touch, this full stop in a way with a wall in front, which is being formulated into the form. So kind of I think from here also Tman, the word Tman is the body in the Vedic language, and Atman as the self, which comes to the full stop, something which has already an identity, separate identity, as it were. We are talking about contextual meanings, and here we have to be very clear. It's not the central meaning. The central meaning is touch and impact. Yeah, the general significance. But this general significance can be used in many roots. And from this tam root, you can arrive at any meaning, by the way, if you have the capacity of consciousness to really see it, how you arrive at it. Yeah? So this capacity we developed by studying the etymology. We have developed the capacity of the mind to arrive at any contextual meanings or application, yeah, of the root. So one and the same thing can be called by many names, derived from many roots. So the same table I can call by many names. In Sanskrit it is also utpithika, that which uplifts. Why should I call it uplifting thing? Yeah? Utpithika, like pedestal, uplifting. Why? It's higher from the earth, so it uplifts. But I may call it as tabla, as a flat table, as a flat space on which I can expose many things clearly. Yes, I can put here that. That's why we call timetable. Timetable means we expose, explain clearly in different positions. So it's also table. Tabla is also a flat space or flat surface. So I can call table as a flat surface or as uplifting space. So I can, from many roots, arrive at this or wooden thing on four legs, or four-legged eating thing, or supporter of writing, or supporter of for things. I can arrive from many roots to this particular description. That's why we have synonyms. Synonyms are different arrivals to the same meaning from different roots. So to develop that capacity to create the words derived from different roots, different activities of consciousness, is that what we have to acquire. It's amazing. Yeah. All right. Okay, we can stop here today. And we will meet next time. And next time, most probably, it will be our last time. We could discuss your projects, what you would like to do, if you would like to continue with this study by your own, or I would like to hear from you how you use this knowledge for yourself, and so on. It's very useful for the Rig Veda and studies of the texts, this knowledge, because when you come to the Vedic texts, you can see that how Sri Rishi is using the words, why he is choosing that or this particular word. If you're interested, we have this Hymns to the Mystic Fire on Fridays. I think we have on Fridays, 9 o'clock. So if you want, you can join. It's a study group, like Gita study group. It's Veda study group. And there we do these things. Okay, I will close with mantra.
Sorry, Vladimir.
Yeah.
I have. I was heading or watching in YouTube some of your videos of Sanskrit, and the next automatic, the recommendation of YouTube, it came one from Kiri Yoshi. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I remember you talk about he was a teacher of you, or you work with him.
Yes.
With some projects. Yes, he was talking about the Veda, the Rig Veda, in a 3 parts video, and how it's coming from the rishis, how the rishis use the technology to discover the seekers, and how they offer for the rest of the humanity in this poetry system. And he gives the example of Gayatri Mantra.
Yes.
Amazing inspiration. So inspiring.
Yes, very nice that yet yes, Kiri Joshi was a great mentor, and we were very close. Actually, when he was there, he kind of cherished, because I was nearly the only one who was with Sanskrit background in Auroville. So he jumped on me immediately, and so he took me to Delhi, to everywhere. I was in these ICPR conferences, in ICPR is Indian Council of Philosophical Research, is a top organization in India over all universities and colleges. So he was the president of ICPR. And we were there with all these great philosophers, me, Shraddhala, and somebody else, 3 of us from Auroville Ashram and so on. And it was very funny, because when these great scholars are sitting, there is a tablet written there, Chattopadhyaya, the president of this organization, he is the professor of that university, and such a long list written in front. And when we were there, so my tablet was only Vladimir, one word, nothing else, no even family name, because we were from Auroville, and in Auroville only one name. And I still have these photos. It is very funny. You sit in around these, on president, everyone is so dressed, and we are in these t-shirts, some kind of from Auroville in chapels there. That was a very bright time. We thought we will do a lot for Auroville, that Auroville will open up to this knowledge. But you know how things are. You know how things are. Who wants this knowledge? Everybody is busy in doing life. And hardly few people, dozen people in Auroville who are interested at all. Auroville has some problem with Indian knowledge. The majority, unfortunately, is not interested at all. And this is the problem. There are only few, and Margaret is here. She can confirm. Only few. How many people are coming to the Savitri Bhavan sessions?
Yeah. But there's now Sanskrit classes a lot.
Good. Finally,
Yeah,
it should catch up.
Yeah. There's something. Also in the moment, it's very much this churning the ocean, very much in Auroville. And,
I know.
but also but also the people who are staying for light, they come forward, and for the higher knowledge and for the progress. So
Good.
and yeah, but it's real.
I was long ago there, 4 years back. It was the last time I was in Auroville. My memories are from before. Yeah, I remember how Savitri Bhavan was resisted. You know everything. How only few, mainly people from ashram, from Pondi, from society coming, and maybe a dozen of Aurovillians, 10, 12 people who are coming to this, interested in these sessions. Mainly AVI or somebody from abroad. Of course, they are part of the community, but still, it's not the same. Aurovillians, in their majority, were avoiding this for some reason.
Yeah, that's really a problem. And there's also no education for children for this one. Just yesterday, Tanya came to me and to get all material about Sri Aurobindo, so she likes to bring to the schools, to transition schools, something before was no information and things giving about Sri Aurobindo mother directly to the schools.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for today. Margaret, you came at the end of the session for some reason.
Yeah, sorry, I was really
No biggie.
pushed away. Sorry, yeah.
I have another session already started 2 minutes ago, so I have to go. See you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, namaste. Bye.
Yeah, namaste, bye.